SOS Audio presents The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, fan audiobook, written by Nagaru Tanigawa. Chapter 2. Judging by the results, my premonition had come true. After class, Haruhi didn't disappear instantly from the classroom as usual. This time, she forcefully grabbed my hand and dragged me out of the classroom, through the corridors, up the stairs, and finally stopped in front of the door leading to the rooftop. That door is usually locked, and the staircase above the 4th floor seems to have been used as a temporary storage room for the art club. Giant canvases, near-broken picture frames, statues of war gods with broken noses and such were all piled up in this little staircase, making what is supposed to be a narrow space even narrower. What is she trying to do by bringing me here?
I need your help.
Haruhi said this while grabbing my tie, with her sharp glare aimed at the lower part of my head. I got the feeling she was threatening me. Help you with what? I decided to feign ignorance.
Help me make a new club.
Okay, then tell me, why do I have to help you complete something that you just suddenly thought up?
Because I need to secure a room for the club as well as members, so you need to find out what paperwork needs to be done for the school.
She wasn't even listening. I cast off Haruhi's hand. What club are you trying to make?
It doesn't matter. What's important is to make a club first.
I really doubt that the school would let us form a club whose activities are still unknown.
Now listen, after school today, you go find out what needs to be done and I'll go find a room for the club, okay?
No! If I had replied like that, I was sure to be killed. While I was hesitating on how to answer, Haruhi had already turned and walked down the stairs, leaving a disoriented male student standing all alone on the dust-filled staircase. I haven't even agreed to help yet. Saying all this to a plaster statue is pointless. I could only drag my heavy feet, thinking about how I would explain this to all my classmates. Requirements for organizing an association: 5 members or more, a sponsor teacher, a club name, a chairperson for the club, and a club activities summary, which then requires the approval of the Student Council Executive Committee. The club's activities must fit in with the school's philosophy of creativity and vivaciousness. Based on the activities records and results, the Student Council would debate on whether or not to promote the association into a study group. Furthermore, as an association, the school would not provide any funding. I didn't really have to search for the requirements. They're all on the back of the student handbook. Members are easy. We can find pretty much anyone to make up the numbers, so that won't be a problem. A sponsor teacher is definitely harder, but I think I can manage that. As for the name, something inoffensive would do, and the chairperson for the club is no doubt Haruhi herself. I'm willing to bet, however, that our club activities summary is definitely not going to agree with creativity and vivaciousness. That being said, it's not as if Haruhi is the kind of person who cares about the rules. As the bell rang for the end of classes, Haruhi showed off her horrifyingly brutish strength by gripping my jacket sleeve and pulling me out of the classroom at kidnapping speed. It took great effort to make sure that I didn't leave my school bag in the classroom. Where are we going? I asked because, well, I'm normal after all.
The club room.
Haruhi was so full of energy that she was able to kick away the slow-moving people in front of us as she spoke. Then she kept her mouth shut. Please, can you at least let go of my hand first? After we exited the 1st floor hallway, we went into another building and up the stairs. We walked into a dark hallway, and at its center, Haruhi stopped. Of course, I stopped too. There was a door in front of us. Literature Club. The crooked name tag was pasted on the door.
Here it is.
Without even knocking, Haruhi opened the door and walked into the classroom without any consideration. Of course, I followed her inside. The room was surprisingly large, or maybe it just seemed that way because it only contained a rectangular table, metal chairs, and a bookshelf. A few cracks on the ceiling and walls showed how ancient the building really was. And, just as if she came with the room, a girl was sitting alone on a metal chair, reading a very thick hardcover book.
From now on, this will be our club room.
Haruhi opened her arms and announced formally. Her face was shining with that energetic smile. If only she would show that smile in class. Despite that thought, I didn't dare say it out loud. Hold on a sec. What is this place?
The Cultural and Arts Club building. This place has art and music rooms for the art club and the orchestra club. Clubs and associations without a regular club room all hold their activities here in this building known as the Old Complex, and this classroom belongs to the literature club.
Then what about the literature club?
After all the third-year students graduated this spring, the club had 0 members. As no new members were recruited, the club was going to be canceled. By the way, she's a first year who's their only new member.
Then they haven't been canceled yet.
Close enough. A club with only 1 member is the same as none.
You idiot. Are you trying to take other people's club rooms? I took a quick look at the literature club girl. She was a girl with glasses and short hair. Haruhi was already this loud. The girl, however, didn't even lift her head once. Apart from occasionally flipping through the pages with her fingers, she appeared stationary, completely ignoring our presence. It seemed that this girl was strange as well. I lowered my voice and asked Haruhi, "Then what about that girl?"
She said it doesn't matter.
Really?
I asked her already at lunchtime. I said I need her to lend me the room, and she said, go ahead, as long as I can read my book here in peace. Now that you mention it, she is pretty weird.
For you of all people to say that! I looked at the weird literature club girl more carefully this time. She had pale skin and an expressionless face. Her fingers were moving rhythmically like a robot. Just covering her pretty face, her short hair made one want to take off her glasses for a clearer view. She gave the expression of an inconspicuous puppet. In other words, a mysterious and expressionless weirdo. Perhaps noticing my intrusive observation, the girl suddenly lifted her head and pushed the bridge of her glasses up with her fingers. I saw her deep-colored eyes staring at me from under those lenses. Neither her eyes nor her lips showed any expression at all, almost like a mask. She was different from Haruhi. Her face is the kind that fundamentally shows no sign of emotion.
Nagato Yuki.
Her tone suggested that her name would be forgotten by most people within 3 seconds of hearing it. Nagato Yuki stared at me for a moment, then as if losing interest, she turned her attention back to her book. Say, Nagato-san, this girl here wants to use your club room for a yet-to-be-named club. Is that alright with you?
Yes.
Nagato's gaze never left her book once. But it might be troublesome for you.
It doesn't matter.
You might even be evicted.
Please feel free.
Even though she answered promptly, she showed no expression. It seemed to me that she really didn't give a damn about it.
Okay, then it's decided.
She sounded really hyper. This gave me a bad feeling.
From now on, we will meet in this room after class. Be sure to come, or you're as good as dead.
She said this with a smile like the blooming cherry blossoms. I reluctantly nodded my head. Please, I don't want to die yet. So we've now found a club room, but there was absolutely no progress with the paperwork. We still hadn't decided on a club name or what activities it intended to hold. I had asked Haruhi to sort these things out first, but she seemed to have other ideas.
We can decide on all that later. Right now, the most important thing is to recruit members. We still need at least 2 more people.
So you've already counted the literature club girl in as well? You couldn't possibly have treated Nagato Yuki as a mere club accessory, could you?
Don't worry about that. I'll be able to gather people soon. I already have someone in mind.
How can I not worry? My unease has become even more profound. The next day after school, after turning down Taniguchi and Kunikita's offer to walk home with them, I reluctantly dragged my heavy feet and headed towards the club room. Haruhi only said,
You go first,
and rushed out of the classroom with a speed that the athletic club so badly needed. She was so fast, I wondered if she had added boosters in her shoes. I didn't know whether she was in a hurry to find new club members, or whether she was just plain excited that she had taken a step forward in meeting extraterrestrials. On the other hand, I could only carry my bag, so I moved slowly towards the literature club room. Entering the club room, I discovered Nagato Yuki already inside, sitting in the same position while reading her book. I slowly approached her, but as with yesterday, her head was buried in the book. My presence was ignored. Was the literature club a pure reading club? Why else would she be reading all the time? Silence in the classroom. What are you reading? I asked, not being able to stand the silence any longer. Nagato answered by raising the book and showing me the cover. My eyes found a large bunch of dazzling foreign words. It seemed like some sort of science fiction novel. Is it interesting? Nagato pushed her glasses upwards effortlessly before replying in an empty tone.
Unique.
It seemed that she would answer anything I asked her. Which part?
All of it.
So you like reading?
Very.
I see. And back to silence again. Can I go home now? I thought of that while putting my bag on the desk. Just as I prepared to sit down on the steel chair, the door crashed open like it was being kicked.
Hey, sorry I'm late. It took me time trying to catch this one.
Haruhi finally arrived, waving one hand at us. Her other hand was holding onto someone else's wrist. She'd abducted another person? When Haruhi entered the room, for some reason she locked the door. Click. Hearing that sound, the light-sized girl shuddered uncomfortably. Wow, she sure is pretty. She must be Haruhi's chosen candidate.
What are you doing? Where is this place? Why did you bring me here? And why are you locking the door? What do you want with me?
Be quiet.
Haruhi barked with such force that the girl simply stood in stunned silence.
Let me introduce her. This is Asahina Mikuru-chan.
After announcing the girl's name, Haruhi stopped talking. Seems like that's all for the introduction. Silence once again engulfed the classroom. Haruhi looked satisfied with a job well done. Yuki Nagato, as usual, kept reading her book without any reaction, and the girl called Asahina Mikuru was simply scared silly. Hey, why isn't anyone talking? And so I started the conversation. Where did you abduct her from?
This isn't abduction. I just forced her to come with me.
That's the same thing.
I found her daydreaming in the second-year classroom, so I caught her from there. I explore the corners of the school during recess, so I've seen her a few times already.
So that's what you've been doing during recess time when you're nowhere to be found. No, wait. Now isn't the time to be thinking about things like that. Anyway, she's our senpai.
So?
I looked back at her in disbelief. Oh god, this girl doesn't even think about what she's doing. Fine then, tell me, why did you need to find her, Asahina senpai, was it?
Here, have a look.
Haruhi suddenly pointed toward Asahina Mikuru's nose, causing her to back off instantly.
Isn't she cute?
That's something only a dangerous kidnapper would say. That's what I thought, anyway.
I believe moe characters are important.
Excuse me, what did you just say?
I said moe, the factor to turn people on. Basically, in most mystery novels, they have some sort of character that turns people on and causes them to be pitied.
I automatically turned and observed Asahina Mikuru. She had a small body and a face that could easily be mistaken for an elementary school student. Her brown hair was slightly curly, hanging over her back. Her pair of large puppy dog eyes gave out a "please protect me" aura. Her half-opened lips revealed a row of white ivory-like teeth that, coupled with her small face, created a perfect combination. If she were given a magic wand, she might even transform into a fairy. What the hell am I thinking about?
And that's not all.